how's it going everybody? Simple Duck here, and it's been a while since we've done any videos here on the channel, and real life is just getting in the way, so I apologize for that. I really do want to upload more videos, do a lot more PvP. I do have a little bit of a problem right now. I actually just bought a new monitor. I was running a 1080p monitor, and I've increased that quite a bit now, and I haven't upgraded my video card yet, so recording live PvP is a little bit tricky because it tends to lag me a little bit, but we can get into that in another video if you guys want to find out what I'm running right now for my setup. But for now, let's dive into this build. So this build is kind of a variation on my freeze build, except it revolves around fire damage. So obviously it's a Magicka Nightblade, and Magicka Nightblades on their own don't actually have fire damage abilities. So what are we doing and how does this build work? I'm going to show you. Let's actually start with the gear here. First thing I'm running two pieces of Scorcher. So as most of you guys know, Falcon Scorcher got a great buff in this patch. So this set is amazing. I mean, you guys can see right there, it's doing 11.2k damage on the initial hit and 5k for the AoE. That can get buffed. That's buffed with my CP right now, but I do have some skills that will buff that as well, and I'll show that to you. But running two pieces of the Scorcher set. Right now I've got a light impen, and then you're gonna laugh at this, but it was in my last video as well. Still haven't tried to upgrade it. I'm running heavy training on the shoulders. I do want light impen here. I hate running dungeons, so I've been waiting for the weekend vendor to sell this for like 2 or 3 months, and basically since the vendor came out, been waiting for him to sell this, and he hasn't. So I'm stuck with this for now, but I've got the two-piece Scorcher. Jewelry, I'm running willpower. So I got my 3 willpower, but just like in my last video here, most of my builds with the Magicka Nightblade are going to have spell damage, and a recovery. If you're comfortable with running a low recovery because of siphon attacks, then go ahead and switch this out and you should be okay. But for me, I like to have that extra recovery just in case. The weapon doesn't really matter for this build. You can go with a Maelstrom, you can go with Masters. For me personally, I like just using whatever random staff I have laying around so that I can put the enchant on it that I want. So I've got a fire staff here, Fasala's Guile, sharpened, and then I've got the spell damage enchant on it. If you want to run a Maelstrom or a Masters, go ahead. This is just what I like because you do get the extra damage from, like, the Maelstrom staff gives you, what is it, 186 or something like that spell damage. But I don't use the skill that it buffs, so I kind of get more out of this for my setup. But again, whatever you want to run, go ahead and run it. The staffs don't really matter. You can see I've got another one here. My Resto staff is precise, just so I get a little bit of extra crit on the heals if I need it. But my 5-piece, it's all still purple. I actually just got it today, got all the pieces. But the 5-piece is Burning Spellweave. And some of you might look at that and say, why? Where the hell does that come from? It drops from City of Ash now, which is actually where this drops too, but obviously the shoulders don't drop in there. But you can get this from normal City of Ash. You'll have to do a few runs and hopefully go with some people that will help you out and give you the pieces if it drops for them. But you can get it in impen in the drops, which is great. It comes in all the pieces up here. It comes in jewelry, weapons, whatever you need. But I went with chest, belt, boots, pants, and gloves. You can see I've got impen on all the small pieces here, and I've got infused on the large pieces. You don't have to do that. Honestly, if I had impen for the other two, I'd probably run all impen. That way I would have 6 out of 7 impen right now, and my crit resist would be a lot higher. That would be nice. But I've got infused for those, so that's what I ran. So what does this set do for you? This set, the 2, 3, 4, pretty basic. But the 5-piece, when you deal flame damage, you've got a 20% chance to hit them with the burning status effect and give you 579 spell damage. Now when you make this set gold, that'll be 600. So it lasts for 8 seconds, has a cooldown of 12. So there is going to be 4 seconds of downtime, but it's not a big deal. This thing is going to be up a lot. The 20% chance actually is huge. It goes off pretty much anytime you want it to, and all you have to do is deal damage with a flame ability. So let's see what we're doing. Let's check out those abilities. Alright, so number 1 on my bar, funnel health. Great damage for Magicka Nightblade and great self-healing sustain. Crippling Grasp, this is really a dot build, so there's going to be a lot of dots in here. Crippling Grasp, amazing dot, snares your target, buffs your speed, great. Merciless Resolve, this is a really nice buff for your damage. It also gives you the Spectral Bow proc, which fully buffed on this character, I got it up to a little over 20,000, which for some of you PvE guys that might not be crazy, but for what I've been running and being really successful with in PvP, that is really high. A little over 20k is great on this thing. But the sort of the bread and butter of this build is this right here. We're using Flame Reach. In the ice build we used Frost Reach, so we're really not changing any abilities here from the Mr. Freeze build, but because we're going fire instead of frost, the playstyle changes a lot. So with Flame Reach, you're going to get flame damage. It's going to do upfront damage, which is actually pretty good damage. It's going to do a nice little dot, and it's going to knock people back. So we don't get that awesome root from the frost tree anymore, but we're getting the knockback, which is cool. The only downside to it is it does make them CC immune, so be very careful when you use that. Because using the Reach version, you get the knockback, but there's no stun. So it's just the knockback. As soon as they fall down, they stand up, and then you're back to fighting again. So be careful. You don't want to make this your main CC, but you can use it if you need to get somebody away from you. But the good thing with this is that it is a flame damage up front, and it's a dot. So your Burning Spell Weave set can proc off of every dot tick, which is awesome. So make sure you keep that in mind and watch for that thing to go up. When that buff goes up, your damage is going to go through the roof. So the last ability on the bar here, I'm using Reaper's Mark, and I'll tell you why, but this one is kind of interchangeable. You can throw Mage Light on there, you can throw Bubble, you can, like the Harness. There's any number of things you can put here, but I like using Reaper's Mark. And you can even use Piercing Mark if you want to be able to stop people from stealthing. But Reaper's Mark, the reason why I like it is in an outnumbered fight, not only am I getting the spell pen from this, which is huge, that's a massive amount of damage that it boosts. So I'm getting the spell pen, but when the enemy dies, when I kill my first target in an outnumbered fight, I'm basically back to full health instantly, and I get 25% additional damage on everything for the next 5 seconds. So that actually will buff the Scoria damage. So Scoria goes up to like 15, a little over 15k with that. And it also buffs our ultimate Soul Assault. So right now, Soul Assault, 64k over 3.9 seconds. Doesn't seem that great, but I've got a screenshot right here. When you're fully buffed, look at that damage. Almost 108k. 108k. This ultimate is so strong. It's so good. They buffed it in this patch, so you can no longer be interrupted. You are immune to CC while it's going. They increased its damage. It stops targets from going stealth for 2 seconds. I mean, God! During those 2 seconds, against most people, if they don't throw up block, they die in those 2 seconds. This thing hits that hard. I mean, just do the math on it. It's basically a 4-second time. At 108k, who's gonna live through that? Even if you block, that's still gonna hurt. Now, they did add in this patch the ability to block this, which is nice because it's basically stamina's only way of countering it. Roll dodging won't break it. You can't purge it anymore. So if your stamina, you either have to block it or you have to line of sight, which can be tricky sometimes. So you're gonna have to try and block it. But I've tested this out with Zero Maz, and when you throw up block, it uses up stamina every single tick. There are a lot of ticks on this. It does not tick every second like most things do. There's not 4 ticks. It ticks every half second. There are 8 ticks to this thing, and oh my god, that's 8 blocks right there. Boom, 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 boom. 8 blocks, dude. Somebody's stamina is gonna be wasted by the time they get through this thing. So they either gotta waste all their stamina or take the damage. It's their choice. But Soul Assault, amazing, amazing. I think underrated ultimate for PvP. I don't see people using it. I figured when this patch came out, I'd see a ton of people using this thing, and I don't. I can't figure out why, but awesome. If you want to, you can throw in the Destro Staff ultimate. You can throw in Soul Tether, Meteor, anything you want really, but God, Soul Assault will basically erase somebody every time you use it. So I'm gonna leave it there. Alright, onto the back bar. I spent way too much time on that front bar, so sorry for just running my mouth here, but okay, on the back bar I've got Degeneration. I'm not running Structured Entropy anymore. Couple reasons why. Number one, Structured Entropy gives you the additional health, which is awesome, but with this build you really don't need it. You can have it here so you do get a little bit larger bubble if you want, but that only affects you sometimes. That only affects you if you need to throw a bubble. With Degen, you can read here in the middle there, while it's on your target, light and heavy attacks, they've got a 15% chance to heal you for 118% of the damage. That's right, 118%. So if you throw your Fire Staff, a Fire Staff heavy attack can hit people for massive amounts of damage. And you can get that back, and then some, in healing. If you hit somebody with a heavy attack for 10k, you're getting over 10k back in health. What I actually have been doing with it that works really well is I'll put it on the target, and then I'll heavy attack with my Resto. So I'm getting Magicka back, but every single tick of the heavy Resto will proc this and heal you, so you're actually getting a lot of health back. You can do the same thing with Lightning if you run that for any other builds, but Degen instead of Structured Entropy for me because it helps with sustain quite a bit. Healing Ward, that's gonna be your main like oh shit button. So Healing Ward, Mass Hysteria, this is gonna be your main CC. We do have the knockback like I said earlier, but be careful with it because it's a very short CC, very short. So if you want to be able to get someone off of you for a couple of seconds and lay down some damage or lay down some heals, use Mass Hysteria. And if you're fighting multiple targets, use Mass Hysteria. This is gonna fear them off, it's gonna snare them, and it's gonna reduce their damage dealt. So very important that you use this as your main CC. Double take, this is the next one up. You're gonna get the dodge chance from it, and it's gonna give you some speed. The speed really is only important when you're trying to get around in between fights, because during fights you're gonna have that speed anyway from crippling grasp, but in between fights it is pretty important. Or if you need to escape, if you're trying to run from people, that speed buff is really handy. And then we're using siphoning attacks. So siphoning attacks, this is what I was saying about the jewelry enchant. Siphoning attacks gives you a lot of magicka and stamina back. So every time you light or heavy attack, you're getting back almost 1100 magicka and stamina. And then every time you cast a spell, you have a chance of getting another almost 2200 back. So I mean, look at this, you're getting 1100 there just for the light and heavy attack. So if you are doing your animation canceling, your light attack weaving on your main skill, you're gaining magicka. Look at that, it only costs 967, so you're gaining magicka while doing damage. So this is huge. So if you want to go with the spell damage enchant on all of your jewelry pieces, and you're comfortable with just having this as your recovery, go for it. Go for it. I might actually give it a try again. It's been a while since I've tried it, but I was more comfortable with this setup in the past. The ultimate I'm running on this bar, Lights Champion. This is the new Resto Staff Ultimate. They did change it from the PTS, and I'm not terribly happy with how they changed it, but I understand why. This is insanely powerful. So right now the way it works is you hit it and it's gonna heal either you or a nearby ally, not both. Like most things say healing a nearby ally and it hits you as well. This one will not. It will heal you or an ally for, you know, what does it say there? Almost 8360 health every 1 second for 5 seconds. That's a crazy amount of health. It's basically if you're about to die, hit this, you won't die. It also, because of the morph that I went with here gives you major force, major protection. So you get 30% crit damage and 30% reduced damage taken. So not only are you healing for a crazy amount, but all the damage coming in is reduced by 30%. While you're hitting 30% harder. It's crazy. So even when you have to use this defensively, you're still increasing your damage output, which is why I really, really like this ultimate. Now again, just like with the first one, you can swap this out. You can use this. I usually would run Soul Tether over on this bar, so you can do that if you want. I'm sticking with this for now because, especially in outnumbered fights, if I get low, pop this, I'm right back in the fight, and I'm doing additional damage for 5 seconds. A lot of additional damage. So this can really, really turn a fight around quick. So I love it. Alright, so I think that is all the skills, all the gear. Let's hit the champ points really briefly, because I feel like champ points are really sort of a personal preference type thing. There's really no right or wrong way to do champ points, so I'm going to run through them real quick, just show you what I have. We'll start with the tower. I've got 50 points here in Magician for cost reduction. I've got 100 in Arcanist for my recovery. If you don't care about recovery, you can take these out and move them. You can either put them more into cost reduction, or I would move them over to tumbling as well. So I've got 37 here in tumbling to reduce roll dodge and break free. In the blue tree, so we are running a fire damage and magic damage dot build. So I've got 5 points here in crit damage. You can put more there, less there, you can have none there, it doesn't matter. This isn't really a big deal. What is a big deal is boosting the rest of like your actual damage. With this build we kind of have low crit chance, so I think we're sitting at like 35%. We really don't have much crit. You can put the Mage Light in to boost that up a little bit, but for me, I like it like this. I've got 100 points here boosting my flame and magic damage, and then nothing here, and then 82 over here. So we're getting almost 22% in Thaumaturge to boost up all the dots. So that's where the majority of your damage is going to come from. I know you get kind of a diminished return here, so if you guys want, you can drop this down. Let me think here. Yeah, you can drop this down. I'm actually going to try that. Drop it down to 75. Put the rest right there. Put them in there. So you've got 5.8% there. 20% there instead of, I mean, what was it, 22? You're not really losing much. So you're boosting your dot damage here. That's for all of your dots. This is for all of your damage. Everything you throw will be buffed by this. Any crits you get are going to be buffed by this. You can put it in Spell Pen if you want, but like I said, it's all preference. I need to stop just running my mouth here. The red tree, resistant. We do have a few impen pieces. So crit resistance is kind of an important thing since we can't root people off of us in this. So I did throw some into resistant. And then I've got 75 and 75 here. These two are so important. You can also put some into thick skinned if you want, just to kind of double dip in resistance, because any dots that have these damage types are already getting reduced. So points in this, they can really help, but it's kind of double dipping. You're putting points in here to reduce damage if someone uses a dot. So the points might be wasted in a lot of fights. So I split them up here, put them over there into crit resist, nothing over here, and that's it. That is the champ points. So if you guys have any questions or comments about the build, it's still kind of in its early stages, so I'll do an update on this once I have everything upgraded, get all the skills and everything finalized exactly the way I want them. But I just got this set today, just finished grinding it, tried it out, loved it, and just got super excited and wanted to post this video for you guys. So leave a comment down below, any questions or anything you guys have. Give this a thumbs up if you're still watching at this point, and subscribe for more. And until next time, guys, take it easy.